They believed it was impossible. An entire colony built on control, run by force, protected by one of the most powerful empires in the world. And at the bottom of that system, hundreds of thousands of enslaved people, unarmed, unfree, outnumbered by fear. This was not supposed to collapse. And yet, it did. Not slowly, not quietly, but violently and completely. I tell stories history softened. Subscribe if this kind of truth matters.
Saint-Domingue was not just a colony, it was the most profitable colony in the world. Sugar, coffee, indigo. It produced immense wealth for France. But that wealth rested on a structure so rigid, it appeared unbreakable. At the top, white plantation owners, confident, armed, and backed by empire. Below them, free people of color, navigating power, demanding recognition. And at the bottom, the enslaved majority, outnumbering everyone, but denied everything. The assumption was simple: control the violence, and you control the system. And for years, that assumption held.
This was not chaos. It was engineered. A system designed for extraction. Plantations operated like machines. Discipline was enforced through fear. Communication was restricted. Movement was monitored. The enslaved were deliberately fragmented. Different languages, different regions, different identities. Because unity was the one thing the system could not afford. And yet, unity began to form anyway, not in open rebellion, but in quiet understanding.
Across the ocean, something changed. The French Revolution. Ideas of liberty, equality, rights. But these ideas were unstable because they were not meant for everyone. Not fully. Not yet. And when those ideas reached Saint-Domingue, they did not create clarity. They created tension. Free people of color demanded rights. White colonists resisted. Authority fractured. And in that fracture, something else began to move.
The revolt did not begin with an announcement. It began with coordination, secret meetings, shared signals, a decision to act. In 1791, the plantations began to burn, not randomly, strategically. The system that had once controlled violence was now facing it from within. This was the miscalculation, the belief that fear could suppress action indefinitely. But fear does not erase memory. It stores it.
The plantation owners saw the fires, but they misread them. They believed this was disorder. They believed it would collapse on its own. They believed it lacked structure. But this was not disorder. This was organized resistance. Leadership began to emerge. Among them, a man who understood both systems, Toussaint Louverture. Not just a fighter, but a strategist.
This is where the illusion collapsed. Because Toussaint did something unexpected. He didn't just resist, he reorganized. He built an army. He negotiated. He shifted alliances, at times aligning with Spain, at times with France. Not out of loyalty, but out of strategy. And slowly, control began to move. Plantations fell, territories shifted, authority fractured. The enslaved were no longer reacting, they were directing. And once that happens, the system cannot return to what it was.
France tried to respond, not just to suppress, but to reclaim. Napoleon sent forces, experienced, equipped, confident. They believed they were restoring order, but they were entering a different war. Not just military, environmental, psychological, strategic. Disease spread, resistance adapted, control slipped. What had once been France's greatest asset became its most difficult battlefield. By 1804, the impossible had happened. Saint-Domingue became Haiti, the first black republic, born not from reform, but from rupture. France lost its most valuable colony. The global system shifted, but the aftermath was not simple. Isolation followed. Economic pressure increased. Narratives were rewritten. Historians debate aspects of leadership and sequence, but the structural collapse of colonial control remains clear. A system built on domination had been overturned.
Today, the Haitian Revolution is remembered in fragments, as rebellion, as liberation, as anomaly. But beneath those interpretations is a deeper reality. This was not just a revolt, it was a redefinition of power. It exposed something uncomfortable, that control, even when enforced violently, is not permanent. It depends on belief, and when belief shifts, everything else follows. The empire believed it understood its system. It believed it had calculated every risk. It hadn't, because the greatest shift was not visible until it was irreversible. Power is not lost when it is challenged. It is lost when it is misunderstood. Power is never as permanent as it believes. More stories like this? Subscribe.